Hi, I'm Travis Monson with Once Upon a Board Game. Today I want to teach you how to play Illusion. This is obviously just a little card game, as you can see by the box size, but it's a lot of fun. It's one, I will note right up front that this is not colorblind friendly. So if you have any colorblind issues, this is not the game for you. It says on the box that it plays 2 to 5 players in, where does it say? About 15 minutes. It's really quick. And actually, I don't see a reason why you couldn't play this with even up to 6 players. And I'll show you how. I'll talk about that as I teach the game. But it's a really fun, quick little game. Let me show you how it plays. Okay, as I said, I'm going to be teaching how to play the game Illusion. Really, as you can see by the box, it's just a little game with a deck of cards. And of course, a little rule book. I don't need that. Let me just set that aside. So there's 2 types of cards. First of all, there's a deck of cards with random color patterns, as you can see. And you'll note on the back of each of these cards, it shows a percentage of the amount of color that's of each of the 4 different colors, red, yellow, blue, green, that are present on the front of the card, okay? You definitely need to keep that information hidden because that's really kind of what the game is based on. So keep those cards face down. And there's also a deck, these question mark cards are colored arrows, okay? There's 3 of each different color arrow, red, yellow, green, blue, okay? So just shuffle these up, set it aside, and you're ready to play. Okay, again, the goal of this game is to be the first person to get 3 arrow cards, okay? It does say there's a variant at the end of the rules. If you want to play a longer game, you can just play until all 12 cards are taken, then whoever has the most wins. But you can play, the regular is just whoever gets 3 arrow cards first. And I'll talk about this in my final thoughts as well, but there's 12 cards. So it says it goes up to 5 players, so there's enough for everybody to still have 2, and then you could get that 3rd card. Really, I don't see a reason why you couldn't play with 6. Yeah, all 12 cards possibly may be gone if all 6 people have 2 cards apiece. And then you're out of arrow cards technically, but maybe just shuffle them up, draw 1 more, and the next person to get an arrow card could win. So like I said, you could play this with more than 5, but choose whether or not to do that yourself. Anyway, so how does it play? All right, so each turn, what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw the top question mark card, and you're gonna put it face up, okay? And so basically that tells you this round, the color that we care about is red. Okay, you don't care about any other color. And you always put the first card in the deck. Let me just put that up so I can move this over to give a little bit more space here. Okay, so you always flip over the top question mark card to see the arrow, and you always just put the first card from the deck there. All right, then beginning with the start player, everybody basically has to try and add a card to the card line here. And what you're trying to do is we are only considering the color red. And we are trying to put the cards in increasing amounts of the red quantity that is visible in the printed area of the card. And it does specifically note in the rules that when it talks about the percentage of each color, it only is talking about the white printable area. So the gray border is not included in the percentages. But basically, you just look at this card and you think, how much red does this have? Does this have more red or less red than this? Okay, and so you put, like, if you think it has less red, you'd put it there. If you think it has more red, you'd put it there, right? So it's increasing amounts of that color, okay? So we don't care about any color other than what's on the arrow. So we look at red. So maybe I was a start player, so I do that card, and clearly this has more red than that, so I put it there, right? Then it goes to the next player, and every player has the option of either challenging the ruling on the field, so to speak, If they think there is a problem anywhere in the whole line of cards, it doesn't matter if it was the card just played, if it was a card played, 2 or 3 people earlier. If they think there is a mistake, they can call it and say, I think that's incorrect. And if that's the case, you'd flip over all the cards and you check those percentages. If there's ever the same percentage, it's considered correct no matter what order it's in. But you check as long as the percentages increase, the line is correct. So if somebody challenges it and it turns out to be correct, whoever played the last card is going to get the arrow. They are awarded the arrow for having correctly added to the card. But if somebody challenges and there is an error somewhere, and again, it's anywhere in the whole row. It's not with the card that was just played. If there's an error anywhere, the person that called the challenge, they win the card, okay? And again, the goal is to get 3 cards. And whoever wins the card, they go first for the next card. You would draw the next card and go again. And so that's how it works. So it was my turn, I played. This clearly has more red in my opinion, so I put it there. Then it comes to Allie. Allie thinks, ooh, this is kind of tricky. This is one of those, the name of the game is Illusion. So there's a lot of optical illusions, like with the little white spacing and how it's spread out, it seems like there's more than there is maybe. So Allie's thinking, ooh, is that more or less red? She's gonna say, you know what, I think it's maybe less red, right? And I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if that's right or not, but I'm not sure either, so I'll just let it slide for now. And so then it would come to me, and I think, oh, where does this fit? I think, does this have more or less? I think, if I look at some of these blogs, some of these splotches, I think maybe that has the most red so far, just for instance, okay? And then, so again, every single turn you say, do you think it's correct or not? Allie says, you know what? I think you're wrong, right? So Allie's gonna challenge the order. And again, it could be if there's an error anywhere. So maybe the card that maybe it was even the one that she placed previously. Maybe that was the one that's a mistake. But if there's an error anywhere, then the arrow is going to get awarded to the person who called the challenge. But if they're all correct, then the person who played the last card, in this case me, would get the arrow. So she calls a challenge. She thinks there's a mistake. So we reveal. So this card had 3% of red. This card had 15% red. This card had 22% red, and this card had 26% red. So that is all correct. So since everything was correct, it increased in quantity of red. She challenged, but I played a card correctly, so I get the arrow. So I already have one of my 3 arrows that I need to win the game, right? So again, we discard the cards that were just used, just set them off to the side. We draw the next arrow. This time we're looking at blue. You always start with one card that's already present. So then again, with the person who won the arrow, they go first. So I would draw, and I think, does this have more or less than that? Oh, and it's funny, you always try and puzzle, like, okay, if I bend those shapes and I put it into a square, what has more? So I think, I think that has more blue. And then Allie says, okay, well, sure, I'll go with that. She says, oh, this one, she thinks has, oh, that's tricky. Maybe she says, I think that has less blue. Sometimes you're really unsure where to put it, and you kind of go back and forth a little bit. And sometimes your decision, whether or not you think that the row of cards is true, may be impacted by the card that you're going to have to play. Because if you think it's correct, you have to play the next card, right? So Allie says she thinks it's good, so she'll put the card there. So then it comes back to me. I'll let it slide for now. And I say, I think this one has, oof, that's tricky. I'll say I think that has more blue than that, but less than that. Who knows? I'm just going kind of quick. Allie says, I think you're wrong. So she's going to challenge again. So we look. This one had 14%. This one had 16%. This one had 12%. Womp womp. So there is a mistake. This one had 21%. So everything was good up until that card. So since there is an error, and Allie said, I think it's wrong, she gets the card. Okay? So then once again, we discard all those cards. We draw the next arrow. It's green. So one starts there. And beginning with the person who won the arrow, Allie, she goes first. So she says, where does this card fit? I think that has less, and so on. You get the gist. You just keep going like this back and forth until somebody gets their 3rd arrow and they win the game. Or if you want to play the longer variant, you play until all 12 arrow cards have been awarded, and whoever has the most wins. That's how you play. So that's Illusion. As you can see, it's really quick and easy. And as I said up front, it says 2 to 5 players on the box, but there's 12 of those colored arrow cards, and the goal is to get 3 of them. So even with 6 players, you could have, 12 cards out, like all 6 players could have, 2 cards apiece, and that's all 12. And then basically just shuffle them up, draw one randomly, and then the very next one, that would be the third card, and, that could be, the winning condition. So yeah, it's a little maybe, home rule, a little variant, but you could realistically play with 6 players that way. And we've done so. We've played with, with a bigger group like that. But it's a lot of fun. It's just super quick and easy. Like I said, and as you can see from the run through, it's not colorblind friendly, but it is a lot of fun. And sometimes it kind of surprises you when you really actually see the content of color on the cards. But it's just a quick, fun little game, easy to kind of throw in a bag and bring, on the road, play in a restaurant, wherever you are. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully this teaches the game to you and you can understand how to play it yourself. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thanks for watching. Travis Monson, Once Upon a Board Game.